What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Phil Shocker, the United States Hedgehog here, and we are here for our season recap of the OGDL, where we unfortunately, by the narrowest of margins, ladies and gentlemen, we have unfortunately not made the playoffs. It really sucks because you want to know how close we were to making playoffs. We had a +7 differential. We were 4-4, and it came down to all the 4-3 teams. At least 1 to 2 of them had to lose, and by the time it was getting down to the last matchup, it had to be two because the person in front of me ended up having a better differential than me. So if I was going to make playoffs, I needed both the last two 4-3 teams that needed to battle face off. And unfortunately for me, both teams ended up making the playoffs, I believe, and we unfortunately will finish as the 10th seed after a valiant effort for us and going on a massive winning streak, which only was maybe like what 2-3 games. It really sucks, but you know what? We went down fighting versus not doing anything. And I will say this, and we will talk about this. We got a certain someone up there in the kill leaderboards, which I'm very proud of. But real quick, we're gonna talk about the season overall and what to expect going forward with the league if I do continue. But let's talk about first. We're gonna talk about the two mods that we did make transactions for because I think I added on a Pokemon after I made transactions because I originally had like 10, so eventually scooped up 11. But the two mons that we did initially drop and pretty much stay dropped and actually were kind of better for us in the season. I dropped Inteleon. I felt like Inteleon was just a mixed bag. It wasn't really providing the work for me, and I think I picked this up for Volcanion. I think I could be wrong. I might have already had Volcanion when we did the draft, but I think Inteleon. I might want to give it another shot. I think it's a little slept on. I do think it's good coverage, but we'll have to just wait and see about it in the future. But it was all right. Up next, and I might give this thing another chance. I just might. It's just that we kept trying to be really creative with this thing, try to use it as best we can, but this mod just kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Screamtail was very underwhelming. Wasn't as fun to play with. I do think there is some cool utility in its support, but overall, I just don't know if this is my type of character. I might give it one more try and see if we can make fun with this Pokemon. But for right now, I just don't think it's going to be a Pokemon for me, and I don't think it's really going to be that good. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about our team. We had 11 Pokemon going into the season. But with that being said, let's talk about it. So, unfortunately, Ursaring did not get a pop off for us this season like we did in JGDL. I don't think it was because Ursaring had bad matchups. I think maybe I just didn't play my Ursaring right a little bit better in this one. But it is what it is, man. I still think Ursaring is actually a goated pick. I do highly recommend anyone to use this Pokemon. It's so fantastic. But as for our team, it's number 11. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am insanely shocked that this was number 10 for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I cannot believe this is at number 10. This is one of my favorite Pokemon to use in draft. And we only brought it to 2 games. And it was the last 2 games of the season. And it didn't do anything. It literally did one hit, died, and then didn't even get to do anything in the other game. I think that should speak a lot, right? There were so many weeks I probably could have brought Volcanion, but it was such a tough situation to bring it in most instances. And I do think maybe if I did bring it against the Gastrodon team, where they had Urshifu, I probably would have possibly won slash been able to do well in that match and probably would have won. But it is what it is. You can't change things. I do think this is a good Pokemon. I do recommend everyone trying it. It's just really sad that it really didn't do anything for us at all this season, which is a real shame because I do like this Pokemon. But that's our number 10. Number 9, not as surprising, but I just felt like this Pokemon was a little underwhelming. I do think Muck is a fantastic Dark type. Is one of the best Dark types, but now with having knockoff back for a lot of other Pokemon and some Pokemon getting knockoff, I don't think it's going to be as good of a Dark type, but I do think it's a really good Dark type still. It's a phenomenal Pokemon, and I do recommend people try this Pokemon out. It's a fantastic AV user. It's a really good utility mon, and I do think there's a lot of niche options with it. And I overall think it's really fun. I do definitely recommend you guys try this thing out and try it for yourself. But overall, it did okay. That's why it's number 9. I'm not gonna lie, I really debated on a number 8 here. It was between probably this and Luck, honestly. And just because of its one really good performance, even though it only came to one game, I'm gonna give it to my boy Earthworm Jim here. I'm not gonna lie, it only came to one game, but it actually did pretty well for that one game. It got 2 KOs against the Tauros and Lucario, which are both fighting types, by the way, both fighting types that we just use an Earthworm to beat. But as a Pokemon, I do think this thing does need to be experimented with Terra. I do think with Terra it can be really experimented well, and I think it would actually be really cool to try this thing with Terra in the near future. As for now, it's not bad, it's not terrible, but I don't know if I'm 100% sold on it. But I definitely do want to give it a try in the future and see if we can make something work with it. But overall, it was okay this season, but nothing spectacular. That's why it's our number 8. Number 7, and it barely makes number 7 just because we used it out of all the low stuff we had. We did use it like 2 to 3 times, which I'm actually very surprised we brought it to 2 to 3 games overall. And that's Houndstone. I think when it didn't have Last Respects and before it had Poltergeist, I actually can see why people draft this thing for the defensive utility for it and overall how it can actually do for a team. I definitely think we could have played a little bit better with it in some cases. I definitely think we had Shadow Sneak in that I think week 2 or week 3 game we had a good chance to potentially win / gotten that chip damage that we needed to win the game. But overall, I think Houndstone, phenomenal mon. I think now with having Poltergeist, it's going to be so much better now, which I think is really cool. But again, didn't have it this season, so that's why it's only ranked. But it was the best of the worst, in my opinion. That's why he's number 7. Now we get into the top 6 of our draft here, and this hurts me because this was our first overall pick, and it didn't do really anything besides like the last week and maybe one other game. Great Tusk really failed me. I'm not gonna lie. I think maybe it's because I didn't use Great Tusk as well as I probably should have. There probably were a couple of sets I could have changed on Great Tusk that could have made it a little bit better. But overall, I think Great Tusk, it's good for what it offers. But in terms of what I think, it wasn't as good as what I was trying to make it out to be. I do think that if I do draft Great Tusk in the near future again, I need to either draft really well around it, or I need to make sure if I want to use it offensively, I build it better offensively. And if I want to use it more defensively, I gotta make sure it's properly invested to be defensive while still being offensive. But overall, I do think it was a good Pokemon. It is, again, one of my favorite Paradoxes. I did use it beforehand on this league for about half, 2 or 3 quarters of a season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of my best Mons on my entire team, if not arguably my best Mon. So I think the fact that we took a long break from using it and then not trying it for as long as we did definitely kind of showed. But I think overall it's a fantastic Pokemon. And I think it's going to be great next time we use it. And I do think I want to try it with Terra, just because I think with Terra it can be so much better. Coming in number 5, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this actually surprised me. After 1 week of doing well, arguably you could say Great Tusk over Iron Leaves, but Iron Leaves had a little bit more of a consistency going towards it, where it was doing at least 1 KO to 2 KOs at most, and it was really popping off for us in some games, and really getting the chip damage we really needed. I do think that this thing needs Terra to be good. I really think it needs Terra to be good. I really, really, really think it needs Terra to be good. But I think as it stands alone, if you play around it correctly, you have good support around it, it's a very good Pokemon. I really enjoyed Iron Leaves this season, and it's a phenomenal Pokemon. Definitely worth drafting, and I cannot wait to use it again in the future. Hopefully, I can use it on a better team, but overall, it was a fantastic mon. Now, this mon you might argue is why I got it ranked so high, but I think some of the support it did offer, and for some of the offense that it did offer for this team, I think regular Tornadus was really, really good. I wish it could have taken advantage of Defiant in some weeks. I think Defiant would have been really cool. I didn't really make much use out of Prankster as I probably should have. I probably should have brought Tailwind a couple more times, but I like how offensive Torn was in some matches. I do think Torn wasn't, again, better than Iron Leaves or Great Tusk, but I think for what it provided to the team, it was really good utility. And I think we started using it a little bit more better near the end of the season. But overall, it was a fantastic Pokemon. I really, really liked it. I might want to give it another shot. I mean, I like Torrentee. Torrentee does pretty decently well for me. So maybe next time we try Torrent, it'll do even better. So who knows? But now we get to the All-Star Free. And honestly, this is a tie for second and third. More so second. But I think we're going to give third towards Reggie Drago just because I have used Reggie Drago before. And I just generally think it would be better to give something else the spotlight that it deserves. But Reggie Drago was one of the two transactions that we did pick up because originally we did not have a Dragon type on this team. And I'm so happy I picked up Drago. Obviously, Drago really massacred in the second to last week where it did so well. And it did good some damage off here and there in some of the other weeks we brought it. But this thing is so good, dude. I tell people every time, do not sleep on Drago. Do not sleep on this thing. Yeah, its coverage is mediocre. And I mean, it only has access to things like crunch, normal stabbing, ground moves now. But that's all it needs. Yes, with Terra, this thing is absolutely busted broken. It deserves to be banned on every social media platform out there. But it is a fantastic Pokemon. I absolutely love Ready Drago. And I think it was a really amazing pickup for us this season. And I'm really happy about it. But I think the more shocker one, and even though he didn't get to do quite as much as I would have liked, he did help Regidrago get set up for that moment. And plus, we led 6-0 with this thing, being that we got lucky. But this was an amazing pickup. I am now a believer of low kicks. This thing is insanely strong. This Pokemon has no real good switchings towards it. I overall think this Pokemon should arguably almost be banned for Terra just because of how broken Tinted Lens can be with it. I think without Terra, it proved why it could still be so good, and I really had fun with it this season. This was a fantastic bond. I do think going in the future, it's going to be held by potential radar. Excuse me, potential radar for Pokemon I want to really use again. Just because it was a phenomenal mon. I mean, it's kind of mediocre in defenses, but it's got decent enough attack, decent enough speed. It's a really strong mon, and once this thing gets rolling, it gets rolling, dude. And I'm so excited to try it again. But we took the gamble with this Pokemon, and we actually finished in the top three of kill leaders with this thing. Now, it only finished with a total of 11 kills, but I think in an 8-week season, that was basically a kill per game. It did pick up 4 kills in one game, like 2 in another, and another 3 potentially. But I think in terms of 8 games and you get 11 kills, I think it's a success. I think Regieleki, my opinion about it with Terra, I think with Terra, it's balanced. I don't think it's broken. I think it's balanced. I do think that you could still easily over prep this thing with having high speed tier mons like just run Scarf that are enough to outspeed speed variants, or to speed creep what you believe they're going to speed creep for. Unburdened users are always going to be a problem for Regieleki, especially if they get set up for it as well. I overall think Regieleki was a fantastic Pokemon. I actually really enjoyed it, and I really liked it. It was a phenomenal mon. I think we really used it, I would say, decently well. We were really creative within some weeks, like we went full normal moveset with Terra Normal. I think that was really cool. And obviously, with the last week with the Terra Water choice specs, where we literally just ran through the Wolves team, it showed why it's good. Now, do I think Regieleki should be Terra banned in the future? I think, in depending of your leagues, yes. I think if you're doing leagues for fun and you want to try them on yourself, I say allow it. But if I say it in an official ruling here, I didn't see why people will agree to ban this thing. I think personally, after using it, even though I didn't get extremely overkilled with it, it still finished top 3 in kill leaders with things like Rory Moon, Volcarona, and stuff like that. Now, be granted, those were allowed in Terra as well, but if it matches the quality of those, I do think this is a Pokemon that does need to be Terra banned. Now, if it does get allowed again to be Terra in this league, you already know I'm going to probably go for it just because I want to use it again. Just because it's going to be the only time I'm ever using it unless it's in AAA leagues. But overall, for the season, I had a lot of fun with this team. I definitely think some transactions made me the team better. I think once we made those transactions, we only lost one game, and then went on a massive win streak with the team afterwards. We also got insanely unlucky in 2 games where we could have honestly had finished the season 62. But it is how it goes, man. That's how RNG and hacks goes involved, and that's it. But I want to give a massive shout outs to my good buddy Owen, aka OGalbina, who hosted this league. Definitely go check him out in the description down below. This dude's awesome. He's a phenomenal battler. Gives you some of the best top tier quality draft league content. And if you're looking for a guy that rages more funnier than anything else, that's my man Owen. But it's thanks to him that we're a part of this league, and massive shouts to him. So yeah, go check him out in the description below. And again, thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart with 60 subscribers. We are 15 away from the end goal, and it's really insane. So thank you all much for your love and support. You're all amazing. You all deserve to have the best happiness, and hopefully I can bring some of that happiness with my content. Like I said, with my JDL draft analysis, I might just record all of my games and then just slowly distribute them. Or as Central stated, I might honestly just do a whole movie where I talk about every single matchup and every single game that happened. But we'll see what I do at the end of the time period. But thank you all so much for your love and support on this season as well. I know it was a really inconsistent on the uploading near the end, but life gets in the way, and you gotta take responsibilities for it, especially when others are slacking. But you gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for support. And with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, join the Social Soccer Crew today because you'll be feeling the king of the crew. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.